Welcome to Out of the Mouth of Babes, the podcast for our future leaders. Today we have a very special guest in the house, Mrs. Jane Bumbalough. Jane is here. She is running for City Council at large. And what I'm going to do first, before Jane has an opportunity to introduce herself, I'm going to let these fine students introduce themselves first. First and last name, where you're from, what you're about, what you do, as well as your interests.
My name is Yuvraj Prajapati. I go to the Richmond High School. I'm in 10th grade, and I love making music. Anything about music, I love it.
I'm Savannah Hilbert. I'm a junior, and I just like to play basketball.
There you go.
Jane, it's on you. Tell us about who Jane is, what you're interested in, what you're involved in, all of the above.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so I am Jane Bumbalough. I'm currently on Richmond City Council. I am married. I've been married for 40 years, mother of 10 children, grown children, and 16 grandchildren. I am involved. I'm involved in many things. I'm involved in Chamber, Drug-Free Wayne County, Crossroad Christian Recovery Center for Women. I'm involved in Birthright, involved in any outreach organizations that need extra help when I'm available. I love to participate and help where I can.
All right, so Jane, the way this is going to work is that I'm going to turn it over to the students, and I'm just a guy in the room. So they're going to ask you questions, and we'll go from there, and then once we'll sum it up, and then we'll give you another opportunity to kind of tell your position if you feel like you didn't get an opportunity to say something that you wanted to.
Okay.
Starting off with you, Raj.
So what specific plans do you have to address affordable housing in our city?
Well, I know that I am involved in the Richmond Housing Authority. I'm the liaison for the Housing Authority. They are in the process of putting together a plan for the old Nicholson site and building. Also, for the city, they're in the process of renovating buildings downtown. They want to put apartments in the upstairs of the buildings. There's many different people who are actively involved in the community and wanting to participate with the housing. So I'm just there to help, to encourage, to learn, to grow with them. When they come with their plans and they come to City Council, we do the voting on the zoning, the variances, the appropriations. So they come to us and they present their plans, what they want to do, and then collectively we do the research and then we vote on it. And we all want to see more housing. I know that is a problem in Richmond. And as in plans, personally, I'm not a builder. I'm not everybody's good. Everybody has their gifts and talents, and it's a collective effort. It's a collective effort for all of us. So there's going to be the architects, there's going to be the builders, there the council members that do the voting, everybody's going to be involved. It's not just one person who does the job. It's many people together who do the job.
What are some things you love about Richmond?
Well, I love the fact that I was born and raised here. I have a lot of very happy memories here. I was raised in a family of 10 children, and my father worked at Second National Bank for 28 years. I love the people here. I've made many lifelong friendships here. That's probably my number one thing is the people, the community members here in Richmond.
Awesome.
How will you support local businesses and encourage economic growth in our community?
Okay, supporting local businesses is shop local. Everybody needs to shop local. Also recognize that business owners go through a lot even to establish their business. They rely on the people to come and eat there, to support them in many different ways, whether it be to support them by coming and eating there, support them by the voting that we do in council if they want to build a new building. I forget the question. You're going to have to re-ask it again. Okay.
The question I asked was, how will you support local businesses and encourage economic growth in our community?
Yeah, and also we encourage economic growth. We also encourage businesses to come to Richmond. We have a very wonderful thing called tax abatements, where it helps the businesses when they come. They can apply for tax abatements, and it helps with the taxes. It helps them to be able to expand, to provide new jobs for people. There's many different ways. Once again, it's many different people come together and support one another.
How do you plan on engaging with the youth population and involve them with the decision-making process that affects their future?
All righty. So that's one of the things that I'm very happy about, the new HELP initiative that they have brought to City Council. They want to involve the youth in the decision-making. It's very important because you guys are our future. Mm-hmm. You guys need to come to the table and share your hopes and your dreams. One of the things I shared in the forum is that we have many people who have established many beautiful things here in Richmond, but the youth that are coming up, they want to put their blood, sweat, and tears into this community too. It's a collaborative effort. The older generations need to allow the younger generations to let their voice be heard. The younger generations needs to see the beauty that's already here, and it didn't just happen. You know, we've all worked together to make this happen. It's at the schools. I think it starts in the schools too, for the schools to have opportunity for the students to participate more in the community, provide programs for them to get the education so they're job ready when they graduate from high school, so they're ready to go out and participate in the community, get the jobs that they really want. It's just very important for your guys. You all need to know that you have something valuable to contribute to the community. Not everybody's going to look the same. Not everybody's going to have the same gifts and talents, but it's important that we share them. It's important that we listen to one another and value one another and what we have to share.
So how do you think that we can encourage our young talent to stay local once they graduate high school or their secondary education?
Well, I think that one of the things that I find is that when you participate in the community and you build those relationships, that is something that is going to encourage you to want to come back. I know that when you build, just like in a church, you have a church, you have different people with gifts and talents, and if somebody is not brought in there, they're not going to feel part of. You have a community, many different people have gifts and talents. You need to be part of, and that's when you grow roots. And then when you go out there, there's going to be a lot of people who go out, and then they can come. We want them to come back, but everybody also they might be called in other directions. But we would love to have you come back. But I think that the main thing is the relationships that you build, the community that you're part of, and we need to have things available here for your youth to want to participate in, just like the conversation we had out there in the other room. You guys even see the things that some of us adults see too.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we take care of what we have. We want to make sure that we value what we have. And we want to make sure we value the people that we come in contact with.
Back to kind of what you were just saying, how do you plan on taking care of what we have now?
Well, one of the things that we do on taking care of now, number one, it starts individually. It starts with your own responsibilities. How are you taking care of your own property? How are you taking care of your own family? Then you reach out. How do you help your neighbor? How do you help your classmates? You're always going to see when you're walking down the hall, if you see something laying down, do you pick it up? That happens out here in the community. When you see something laying down on the ground, do you pick it up? There's a lot of work that does need to be done, and it's I think every single one of us have our responsibilities to do. It's catching. If you're living in a neighborhood and say that all the yards and all the just the community, the smaller community within the larger community. If everything's a mess and then all of a sudden one of you decides I'm going to do something about it and you start cleaning up, it's catching. It really is catching. One of the things I enjoyed participating in is the Alley Cats cleanup. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed meeting new people. I enjoyed going around the neighborhoods and cleaning up. Some people got out of their cars and they looked around and they were very shocked at what we were doing, but they even said, hey, could you throw this away too? And they took something out of their car and handed it to us, and we're like, great, sure. But that's something, it catches when somebody watches somebody else take care of something and they see them find joy in those mundane tasks. That's something that actually can encourage other people to do the same.
Going back to what you were talking about earlier, how do you feel about diversity, inclusion, and equality within our community?
Well, I want you to know that I was raised, like I said, family, 10 children. There was not prejudice in my family, and I am so thankful for that. I am a Christian, and I truly believe from my heart we're all made in the image of God, that we all have value. Every one of us have been born with special gifts and talents. And nobody should be excluded because of the color of their skin, their economic background, where they came from. Everybody needs to be welcoming to others.
What goals would you like to share with us now?
It's kind of like what we're all talking about. One of the things that I would love to see, I really want us as a community to take care of what we have. I really want to see things cleaned up more, things repaired, building structures, grounds, land, and most importantly, relationships. When everybody was pulled away from one another and basically locked up from each other because of COVID, it really did a number on everybody, not just a select few, but everybody. And in some ways, it was helpful because it forced you to sit back and reflect and really consider what's really important in life. But by the same token, with that pulling away from one another, there is an increased apathy and disconnect that has happened because of it. And I want to see us come back together stronger, and I want to foster that. My goal is to even be more involved, building more relationships, seeing people connect with one another, and just opening yourself up to new possibilities of what can happen in the community, and making sure that everybody's voice is heard, not just a select few, but not just have a meeting and say, we want the public input. I really want to take in strong consideration about the public input and implement it and really value what they have to share.
I want to hear, what were the events that led you here? Why do you want to run for this position? What brought you here?
Okay. Well, originally what brought me here, I have been a caregiver for 38 years, and my husband and I brought my parents in our home to live with us, and that's a childhood dream that I had. I've always wanted to care for my parents. And my mother passed away a year after they moved in, and my father passed away 3 years later. And like I said, this has been a lifelong dream that I had. And I found myself sitting in the apartment. There was a handicap accessible apartment built on our home to care for my parents. And I was sitting in the apartment, and I was praying about what I was to do, because I fulfilled my lifelong dream of caring for my parents. And I remember one specific time of prayer in the apartment, and I told the Lord I wanted him to use me. And I wanted to be used by him. And I remember sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, what's happening? And 2 days later, I was contacted and asked if I would consider running for public office. That was honestly the furthest thing from anything I'd ever want to do. But I decided in my heart, after counseling with my family and friends, I decided in my heart, if I look at this job with the attitude in which I've been gifted of being a caregiver, and loving and serving people, then I can do it. I have absolutely enjoyed the last 4 years being here in public office. I've enjoyed the people. I've enjoyed the job. I've enjoyed helping and serving where I can and getting to know people. And I really prayed about if I was to do this again, and I'm called to do it again, and trust whatever outcome. That's what I know, that there's a plan for me. So that's how I got here.
I know you're talking about keeping people involved and staying connected. How do you plan on keeping our youth involved and making them realize their role in building our community?
Okay, so one of the ways that I'm involved with the youth is through, I know my grandchildren go to Seton Catholic School. So I go and I volunteer where I can. I just volunteered for an event this week with the kids. And sometimes, even when the children are that young, preschool, first grade, second grade, the impact, the adult to child impact that you make with them as a child has profound effects as they get older. I remember specifically when I was 3 years old, even my cousin sitting down one time talking to me. I still remember that moment. And then I have been involved with the high school before, when my kids were in school, and keeping them connected. It just goes back to relationships, building those relationships with the students. It can't be bringing the student and plugging them in where I think they need to be. It starts with the relationship first. It starts with getting to know the child, just like this young man with the music. It's like, wow, that's pretty awesome. Some of my children were involved in music in high school, and that's some of them, are singers, and it's wonderful. And you love basketball. Getting to know what you're interested in, and then finding those avenues to get you plugged in. You don't want to try to fit a square peg in a round hole, or a round peg in a square hole. You want to find where people are gifted, where they can blossom, where they can thrive. So it's not one of those things, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, because it takes time. You want to build the relationship. It's not just going to happen. It takes involvement in different capacities.
All right. We got about time for another question, and then we'll give you an opportunity to kind of sum it up. So,
Okay.
who's up next?
You were talking about schools, and I wanted to ask you about what is your strategy on improving education and providing equal opportunities for all students in our city?
Well, I am not really involved in the high school, because usually when you're involved in the high school, you have children that are the high school age. When my children were in high school, that was very different. I do know that there are many opportunities here in Richmond. I know that HYPE is young professionals, but I know that they have a tremendous program with the younger generation. I just look for opportunity to meet kids, whether it be at church, even here, out there in the room where we were just talking. I am one that's more relational, public relational, and meeting you where you're at. Maybe that's a question that I could ask you. What would you like to see me do to be more involved with the school? That's something that all of us need to know. What are some things that you would like to see myself or other council members? What would you like to see us do to connect more with you guys?
I would like to see maybe more opportunities for kids to have shadowing experience with the
Okay.
city council or a shadowing experience with the mayor in which you can see how legislature or that kind of how it works.
That is wonderful. And our city council meeting is tomorrow evening, starts at 7 o'clock, and you are welcome to come. You are welcome to come. And I'm sure the mayor would like to have student involvement come and shadow. That's a good start. That's a good start. But I really appreciate you sharing that. I really do.
Maybe I'll talk to some of the parents and see if we can get a couple to come tomorrow. But majority of them have sports at that time.
Right.
But I'll see. Savannah, do you have another question?
No.
All right, Jane, do you have anything you want to wrap up?
Well, I would just like to thank you guys for welcoming me here. I would like to further conversations with you guys. I would really love to get with you guys where we can talk more and you can ask more questions, and maybe I could get you introduced to different business owners where you could job shadow where they work. I would love to get you guys plugged in, but it's gonna take spending some time together and getting to know you and making the arrangements. But I'm thankful that you shared that.
All righty. Thank you for coming out to Out of the Mouth of Babes, the podcast for our future leaders. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.